Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Jerry Sinz Show. Jason Zaleski here with Coach Sinz, sponsored by Heil Ginseng. Heil Ginseng, fresh ginseng available right now, right here in Edgar, or go online at Heil Ginseng. Coach, Rib Lake Prentice game this past Friday. You made pretty quick work of the guys up there. Another one of those games where it's a big score. You were plus 60 in the point total, and they had none. I know you and I have talked about this before, but with a straight face, what do you tell the guys on Monday coming back? Well, yeah, we got to work on this. We got to work on this. How does that conversation go on Monday then?
Well, we looked at the film always on Sunday night, so we were in Sunday at 5:30. And of course, no matter what happens, there's always things that you didn't do exactly right. Rib Lake Prentice was very kind to us. They turned the ball over like 10 times. I think they had 7 fumbles and 3 interceptions. Now, we didn't recover all the fumbles, but we got about 5 of them. And then we had 3 picks, so, 8 turnovers. Well, you could almost battle a college team if they're going to turn the ball over 8 times. It's just, it's hard to win that way. Of course, we had very short fields then, consequently. And our kicker was kicking really well, so he was booming them into the end zone every time. So they were starting at the 20 every time. And, of course, we were starting on their side of the 50 every time, sometimes clear down by the 10 or the 15 following a fumble recovery or an interception. So basically what happened is we played JVs the whole second half, and they pretty much did too. They saw when we put all our young guys in, he put his young guys in too. And that's pretty much what happened the second half. So it was kind of like young guys against young guys. But it made it at least kind of competitive the second half, which was fun.
Yeah, and in that way, kind of good for both teams. Let their younger, their JV, freshmen, sophomores, whatever the case may be, get that experience because you'll need them in future years. So that experience under the bright lights on Friday, much different than what happens at a practice field. So It's good to get that type of experience. So experience you've had is playing Stratford, and you've played them every year for the past long time. We'll just maybe say that. And they will come to town here on Friday. You've had your way with them the last couple times out. We can go through stats here all day, Coach, but the one stat that stands out to me, Stratford scoring 272 points. They've given up 0. You've scored a bunch of points too. What's the plan on Friday against the Stratford Tigers?
Well, of course, any plan you have is always, dependent on other things in football. I'm sure they're watching the weather just like we are. We would both love a day just like today.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen though.
But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. No, it's not going to be sunny and 60 and nice. It looks like it's going to start raining Thursday night, possibly pretty windy, turning colder on Friday. I don't know how cold it's going to be by game time. At one time they were saying it might even be in the upper 30s. But now I think they're saying it's going to be a little warmer. But, of course, if it rains, for 24 hours prior to the game, the field's going to be slippery. And if it's windy, that's going to have a bearing on what passing you can do and also in kicking, punting, everything. So, we may have to have 2 or 3 potential game plans. And the main things always are, try to cut down on penalties and turnovers and hope for a break here or there.
Yeah, with a team like that, you're going to have to play probably your best game of the year to stay in it. Now, I remember a game here 2 years ago. It was foggy, it was a little bit cold, it was muddy, and it was a 10-0 Edgar win that day. So who knows? You don't know when the weather creeps in like that. A game like this, as we look now ahead towards playoffs, a game like this can have a lot to do with seeding. I would think a goal has got to be to obtain the number 1 seed. A win or a loss, is that going to affect your seeding, do you think, come playoff time?
Well, certainly it will, because the number 1 criteria for seeding is conference champion. So it doesn't make any difference if, what the other team, how good they are or whatever. If you don't win a conference championship, and you're probably not going to get a number 1 seed, even though the game could conceivably be a close game, and you might get beat by the best team in the state in Division II, you see, but it doesn't make any difference. No, you got to win a conference championship usually to get the number 1 seed, because that's just pretty much the way it works. Obviously a guy knows that it's going to have a bearing on the seeding, but we've never worried about seeding much anyway. In 2016, when we had some of our key players hurt, late in the year, and I think we lost 3 out of 4 games late in the year. It's most games we ever lost in ages. And we went into the playoffs, I think, a 5 seed, and we won them all in one state. So played on the road every game. Other years we've been to 1 seed and have had the games here and not made it to state. So I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference, to tell you the truth.
Again, you're watching the Jerry Sinz Show, sponsored by Heil Ginseng. Heil Ginseng, fresh ginseng available now right here in Edgar and online at Heil Ginseng. Coach, that seed meeting is 2 Saturdays from now, as it turns out. As you've been to a number of those for sure, give us kind of some of the back, behind the scenes there, pull the curtain back on the seed meeting for those that have never been to one. Who speaks first, and then when you go to pitch yourself for the 1 or 2 seed, how does that conversation work?
Well, they have a draw, and every team there gets to draw. So there's 8 teams, and so if you draw, I don't remember if it's number 8 or number 1. I think it's probably number 8. Well, then you get to talk first, and you work your way all the way down. Each school gets to talk before any voting takes place, and schools kind of talk for what their record is and what they think their seed should be. And then everybody votes, and then after the vote takes place, if you want to appeal, now you start with the number 8 team. They can try to appeal up to 7. If they get 7, they can try to appeal up to 6. But you can't leapfrog anybody. You can't go from 8 to 5. No, you'd have to go from 8 to 7, then 7 to 6, if that would work. Usually it doesn't. Once in a while, somebody will move one position. They'll move from 5 to 4. And that's kind of a significant move because that gives you 1 home game then instead of all of them being on the road. But in most years, a lot of guys don't appeal at all. Like I say, in 2016, when we had a rough year at the end of the year because our best player, Alec Haferman, had dislocated his elbow at Marathon, and he missed the last 4 games, and we were kind of struggling and reeling there. But then he got back for the playoffs. We basically, we were about 3rd or 4th in our conference, probably the lowest finish we've had in 40 years. And so, our seeding was, I think we were 4th or 5th seed. And I told him, I said, I don't care what seed we have. I said, all I care about is whether or not we're healthy. And I said, if we're healthy, we'll gladly play any of you guys anywhere. And, of course, as it turned out, we ended up winning state. So I don't think it has a whole lot of bearing. The Packers just went to Dallas. They won in Dallas. Nobody thought it was going to happen, but it happened. Thanks
for bringing that up, Coach. I appreciate that. On the media side of things, sometimes we'll see response comes in from all 8 in about 10 minutes, and sometimes it's a couple hours. So we know right away how those conversations went. And generally, I think that that guy who goes first and he says, "I'll just take the 8 seed," then things go pretty fast after that, right?
Oh, yeah. And most guys, of course, are appealing, for a 4 or a 5, unless, of course, they're really good, undefeated conference champs. So, of course, they're always going for 1. You hope that you don't have 2 undefeated conference champs in your same bracket. Now, we did have that in 2017. It was us and Bangor.
That's right.
And we were both undefeated conference champs. And they had won the state championship in 15, and we'd won it in 16. So we were wondering how both of us got put in the same group of 8 that year. And, of course, both teams appealed for number 1 since we beat them the year before in the semis or whatever it was in 16. We ended up getting the 1 seed, and then they ended up beating us here in the playoffs. So, once again, you hope you don't end up with 2 undefeated conference champs in the same group of 8 because then it makes it kind of tough.
Coach, again, Stratford here on Friday. Best of luck on Friday night, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you got it. All right, Coach, Jerry Sinz and the Jerry Sinz Show. As we wrap things up, again, we'll be here live on Friday night. You can watch the game if you can't make it out here to the stadium, and I don't know there'd be many people left at home, but if you are one of those that are left or just a curious onlooker from far away, ZaleskiSports.com will have the game live here. We'll also be live in Wisconsin Rapids for La Crosse Logan and Rapids Lincoln, and then live in Greenwood for Assumption Greenwood Cloverwood football. Until then, we'll see you on Friday night. Have a great night.